Welcome back to my channel, where I tell scary stories from all over the internet. I am your host, and I have 3 terrifying Easter horror stories for you tonight. So grab some candy corn, turn off those overhead lights, and let's get into it. Our first story comes from Reddit user WitchyWoman426. A very long time ago, when I was still a child, I attended an Easter egg hunt at our church. We were told to go to the church hall next door to the church after the hunt, while the adults organized everything. My mom sat with us kids and we watched cartoons. I remember that the church hall had windows all around it so we could see the playground and the parking lot. One window in particular faced the bathroom. It wasn't soundproof or anything, so we could hear what was going on inside. I went to the bathroom probably every 30 minutes, because I was a kid and had drunk loads of juice. All the women's toilets were occupied most of the time because, well, you know, women's business. So I would just stand outside the bathroom stall doors and wait until one became free. This particular day, however, something different happened. As I was standing there waiting, I heard loud voices coming from one of the empty stalls. There was only one other stall that was occupied at this point, and the person in there had definitely been in there for a while. I couldn't see out of the stall, but I could see under the door, and there was a pair of feet sticking out. But these weren't small feet, they were big feet, and I mean massive clown feet. Then the door opened slowly, and I saw the feet followed by a pair of striped pants. I don't know why, but this made me feel sick to my stomach. I started backing away, but then a hand appeared in the doorway and beckoned with its finger for me to come closer. I couldn't help but move towards the stall. I was frozen with fear, and I didn't want to scream, because I thought that the other women would think I was being ridiculous. Then the rest of the grown-up bunny came into view. He was wearing one of those bunny masks, and his eyes were clearly visible through the holes. His mouth was also stretched into a wide smile, which I'm sure was meant to be friendly, but it just looked creepy. "Come here, little girl," he said in a deep voice that sounded nothing like a child. My brain finally kicked into gear, and I ran out of the bathroom. As I turned to run, I saw him take a step out of the bathroom and yell, "Come play outside." That's when I screamed. He tried to stop me, but I elbowed him in the face and he fell backwards. I remember shoving past the other women and running out of the church hall, then bursting into tears. I told my mom what had happened, and she immediately took me to the bathroom to check if the door was unlocked. The door was unlocked, but the bathroom was empty. No sign of the man anywhere. We found one of the church leaders, and she took us both to the playground, from where we could see the church hall and the road. Where was he? Where did he go? I kept asking her this question, but she just kept saying, "He's gone. Don't worry." She must have noticed my distress because she eventually asked me to calm down. If I wanted to find any more eggs, well, I didn't want to stay there, so we went home. I never went back to that church again. And whenever I pass by the building, I can't help but wonder if the creepy bunny is still hiding somewhere in that old church. I should also mention that this happened in the early 90s, so the church hall was UNM built yet, and we had to go to the actual church building for activities. Also, I was only around 5 or 6 years old at the time, so I think it would have been the late 80s. I hope this helps, and I hope he hasn't scared any more children since, yeah, I'm gonna need some more details on this one. Who was this guy? Why was he in the bathroom? Why did he want the little girl to go outside? And how exactly does one get a job dressing up as the Easter Bunny in order to lure children outside and do God knows what to them? Okay, well, moving on. Let's hear a story from Mr. Bones Wild. My 2 friends and I decided to play a game of manhunt in the woods behind our neighborhood. Now, for those who don't know how to play, one person is the hunter, and the other 2 are the hunties have to hide while the hunter closes their eyes and counts to 100. Then the hunter opens their eyes and tries to find the hunties. Whoever the hunter manages to tag first becomes the new hunter. Well, the 3 of us were playing this game at dusk when my friend Mark shouted, "Ready or not, here I come," and then we split up. My friend John hid behind a tree while I hid in the bushes. After what seemed like a few hours, although it was probably only a few minutes, I heard someone shout, "Hey, John, I found you." I peeked out from my hiding spot to see Mark dragging John by his jacket towards the edge of the wood. I knew that Mark liked to roughhouse a bit, so I assumed that they were just playing, and I went back to my hiding spot. A minute or 2 passed before I heard a woman's voice. "Leave him alone." I poked my head out of the bushes again, and saw Mark and John standing by the road with a woman in her 30s. The woman was wearing ripped jeans and a dirty t-shirt, and her hair was unkempt and covered in twigs. She had a sharp, angry look on her face. Before I could process what was happening, the woman grabbed John by the collar and shoved him against the tree. "Get away from him," she said, turning to Mark. Then she turned back to John and whispered something into his ear. Her words were too low for me to make out, and just like that, she disappeared into the woods. I got spooked, so I ran home without bothering to find Mark. When I got inside, I told my parents about what I'd seen, but they just laughed and went back to watching TV. I was left feeling confused and upset. The next morning, I called my friend Mark to ask him what the hell had happened the night before. He told me that he had tagged John, and that they were walking back to where we had been playing when they heard a noise in the bushes. Mark said that he had assumed it was just an animal, but John insisted that it was a person. That's when the woman had appeared and scared them off. To this day, we still don't know who that woman was, but I'll never forget the look on her face. Okay. Well, our last story comes from Jovial Juggernaut. I was going on a nature walk with my cousin when we came across 3 upside-down crosses nailed into trees. This was near a popular hiking trail, but we hadn't seen anyone else for miles. It was pretty creepy. As we approached the crosses, we heard footsteps in the underbrush. We stopped to watch as a tall, thin man emerged from the trees. He had long, greasy hair and was wearing a stained gray t-shirt and dirty jeans. He walked past us without saying a word and continued on down the trail. We decided to head back to the car, but we couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. Just as we reached the car, we heard footsteps again, and the same man came out of the trees. This time, he stopped and stared at us for a moment. Then he turned and walked back into the trees. At this point, we were freaked out and we wanted to get home. As we drove off, we saw the man standing at the edge of the woods. He was holding a torch made from a burning piece of cloth. We sped off, assuming that it was some sort of weird, scary initiation ritual or something. When we got home, we told our uncle about the crosses and the man with the torch. He listened intently, then said, "Yeah, I know that trail well enough. Let's go back there right now." We thought he was crazy, but we went with him anyway. As we drove back to the trail, we saw 5 or 6 figures standing at the edge of the woods, each with a flaming torch. Our uncle slammed on the brakes and fired a rifle into the air. The figures scattered and ran away. I guess they scared him as much as he scared them. It ruined our Easter holiday. Well, that was our Easter special. I hope you enjoyed those scary stories. If you did, please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and share this video with your friends. You can also follow me on social media for more scary stories. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.